First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in this gospel, brought lift up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is just a quick lesson through the Spirit. This little quick in transit titled Dreams and Visions. I was going to actually go into a little bit in depth later on. I actually had some time to sit down. Got a long day ahead of me, so I probably won't be able to get to a lesson till after 3 o'clock, unfortunately. It just depends on what the Spirit wants. But anyway, titled Dreams and Visions. Kind of going into what that brother Yahweh called from Des Moines he was going into it as well, and the brother from from Jersey, I believe. I don't know if he's from Manavala or what. I can't recall the camp, but nonetheless, he's an affiliate. Give double honors. You know, he's in the Spirit, and he went into a lesson on the draft, the military draft, in Isaiah 4:1. And the scriptures tells us in the book of Acts that the Most High, he was going to dream dreams and have visions, okay, because we are in depth in those times. So it was a Jake dude, looked like he could be a Christian Jake, you know, nonetheless. And he understood, you know, as far as Isaiah 4:1, but the vision the Lord gave him when it goes into how the women should mourn having no husbands or no bridegrooms, it makes a lot of sense in the world now, because basically NATO is fixing to go to war, or Turkey or Israel is set to go to war with Turkey from what I've saw. Now, I don't know what could become of an update of it, but it makes a lot of sense in the world, because we understand that the allies of Babylon the Great are going to turn against it, you know. And on top of that, Turkey is, and it's all according to prophecy, because Turkey is predominantly, or will be gearing up to be ally of Russia, according to Ezekiel 38. So they're gonna have to bring back a military draft. And me personally, I always said that Esau should start drafting YNs. Okay, start with the youngest nigga you can find and send their ass over there to the Middle East to fight this war. Okay, because Jake, you know, they just in the spirit of folly and degeneracy. But he was basically going into how the women were begging to be with men, because all hell broke loose. And if you look at the way that the society is going, that vision is on point. And that's more of a vision because the scriptures back that up completely. You know, he basically stated that you had women that basically stated that, well, they wouldn't mind being a seventh wife. Isaiah 4:1, 7 women should take hold of one man. Say, let us all marry you to take away our reproach. And that's going to come about because their men are going to die in the war. Okay, their men are going to die in the famines. Their men are going to die in the FEMA camps, etc. when this place finally collapsed, man. And if you pay attention to all these videos that these content creators are doing, basically, long story short, it's a lot of women on there talking about how they got laid off, how they can't afford to make ends meet, how they can't afford to pay their bills, you know, they're single mothers, and the list goes on. And that's all congruent unto the scriptures, man, because when you go to Isaiah the 3rd chapter, it goes into how they should sit on the ground and the gates shall lament, and how their mighty men will fall in war. And the way the dude was breaking it down, he's basically stating that, man, they was shipped over to war. Okay, they fought World War III, and they was getting eviscerated, because the brother was breaking down on how, you know, there may not be time to train them up, because 6-week basic training does not even get you prepared for a global world war, especially when you got men and little kids, you know, that's been shooting guns from the age of 6 and understand reconnaissance and guerrilla warfare. When you YNs, you don't understand shit but shooting sideways, man, which is going to get majority of you unalived. And it makes a lot of sense too, because he stated that they were just getting slaughtered, how it wasn't nobody shooting them, but it was guns coming out of the trees, man. But if you understand trees represents nations, okay? And World War III is going to be a war of many nations, man. NATO, EU, Israel, Russia. It's basically going to be a war between the Eastern Bloc and the Western Bloc. if that make any sense, man. You know? So with that being said, he said that they was all sent over the war. They had like these old World War II uniforms and weapons, because we understand that America defense systems, they don't really invest in defense, but instead offense. Offensive strategy have always been their, you know, they go to, you know, and it makes sense too, because they don't have the funding into upgrading their weaponry system. So they're using outdated tanks. And I remember it was videos that came out years ago on how America was using like outdated Abrams tanks and all this other shit. But yet you print money by the second. You print over $1 trillion a year, and yet you can't upgrade your military arsenal. You know, that's kind of crazy work. So anyway, he said that these YNs were getting slaughtered, and it makes sense if the Most High wants to judge them, because he could just send them all over there and just get rid of all of them. Because I mean, what are they doing here besides being wicked, being a nuisance? And I should have fucking got off right there, man. Besides being wicked, besides being a nuisance, besides being a bunch of demons, you know. So anyway, with that being said, let me see something here. And Salaki, I'm all over the place, man. It's a hell of a fucking morning. I'm already late and fucking traffic. Jake ain't feeling it 100%. But Jeremiah 51:6, Shalom, bro. It reads, it says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. Yeah, her iniquity, her sins. It says, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance, and he will render unto her a recompense. And Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, and it's made the earth drunken, and the nations are drunken of our wine, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah, the philosophies, man. All right, the nations have caught on to the Babylon juice, and it's ultimately not working for them anymore, you know. So with that being said, Isaiah 4:1 is getting ready to be a thing that's going to come to pass on this side, like Apostle Tahar goes into pretty often, that is going to come to pass on this side, man. And you women out there that got that may understand this truth, hey, you know, like Apostle Gabar said, he said, y'all women, y'all play a lot, y'all play too much, man. You know, a lot of you out there sitting up there choosing and picking on which man in the Lord you're gonna deal with. That's not how that shit work. Okay, you be happy if a man of the Most High pick you, but at the same time, y'all need to be proactive in that, you know. Because see, what I noticed too about the women in Israel, they still have that worldly mentality. They will rather go for brothers that's like top rank, which I mean, women are hypergamous, so it makes sense, you know. That's what happens. But you got a lot of brothers in this thing that's diligent as all hell, you know, that can make ends meet, and yet y'all overlook these men, all because they're not being mentioned by the leadership. That's some bullshit, and I don't fuck with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because there's gonna come a time that you're gonna be out here and chaos is gonna ensue, and that man gonna walk right past you, man. You know, you're gonna be like, hey, shalom, brother. He gonna be like, I don't know you, who are you? You know, because when they was calling out for you women to get right and become helpmeets, you wanted to ignore them. You know, you wanted to go to the different camps. You wanted the accolades. You wanted to be over there with men that got these worldly titles and all this other stuff, you know, rapping and Hellcats and all this other stuff. And you totally negated the men of the Most High, all because, you know, they just didn't fit your worldly criteria. And this is why we say majority of you are going to be rejected, okay? Because he broke it down in a dream. He said that men were just choosing women, as many women as they can, which we ain't going to be in that spirit, okay? We ain't going to be choosing you because you look good. It's going to be a heavy vetting process. You know, if, like myself, if the Lord blesses me with that, because Isaiah 4:1 could be a blessing and a curse. See, it looks good because the flesh, like, damn, I'm going to have all these women submitting and all this other shit. But you got to understand this, though. The more the scriptures say, to much given is much required. So if you got 10 women around you and you got some motherfuckers that's trying to kill them or kill them, you're going to have to protect them. You know, and if you ain't built up in the spirit, then it's just like, what good is it? You see? So it could be a bittersweet thing. Oh, yeah, I got 10 women around me. Yeah, it sounds good. But you're going to have to put their ass in order. You might have to fucking stun her, bitch, just to make an example. And I already see it. I already know I'm going to have to make an example out of a couple of women. You know what I'm saying? I was dealing with this chick along, and I told this story. You know, it's not really important. It's no secret. But I was dealing with this chick for a long tenure since I've been in the truth. She knows the truth. She knows everything. I mean, not everything about it, but she's been around me long enough to catch on to what she's supposed to do. But, you know, we departed maybe 2 years ago, and then she goes and get engaged to a childhood friend. And back in my mind, I'm like, you the dumbest broad in the fucking world. You know, even if we didn't work out, you know what I'm saying? You supposed to remain unmarried, but now you just totally gonna get destroyed because the man, and I'm using her as an example because this is a common situation. It's not personally about this woman because I could care less. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shit, the spirit showed me what I needed to see anyway. But long story short, you understood the truth, and yeah, you backslid and went back into the world, and now you got you a man of the world, so you're gonna die to judgment because that man, he's not gonna be able to save you because for one thing, the Most High is not dealing with that man. Okay, and that's just an example for all you brothers out there that may have went through similar things with women that you were dealing with, because the brother said in a dream, he said that a lot of women that's with you ain't gonna be, they ain't gonna make it to the ships with you, man. Okay, they're not gonna make it to the ships because ultimately they gonna buck up because they can't accept the fact that you got more than one woman. So the dude in the dream was breaking down like, well, he saw men grabbing up as many women as they can, and then he said that he had some that was like, nah, I can't deal with you. You got kids. I can't do this and that. And that makes a lot of sense in the world because the last thing we want to put on ourselves is more affliction to our burden, man. Okay, so I'm not looking to grab up a woman in Jacob's trouble that got kids already. You feel me? Now, however the Lord does it, I mean, the Lord do, because, you know, children are going to be delivered. You know, if the fathers are dead or whatever, you know, we'll cross that bridge when it get here. But ideally, we're not trying to deal with that because I got to worry about you and your kids. Them not my kids. So I'm not in the mindset of taking on a woman that got kids in that day. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it happens, it happens. But overall, he said, look, you're going to have to leave them kids behind or sit them with their father, and then we could talk turkey. And it may be like that, you know, because you may have some sincere sisters in this thing that sincerely want to be delivered. And they may have children outside of a brother in his faith, you know, and they may be of the elect. You know, the Lord may decide to save the household. We don't know. But my motto is, hey, you're going to have to get rid of them kids because I'm not protecting you or your children. You can fucking forget about it. I don't care how cruel it is. I'm not taking care of another man's seed. You know, and they call law y'all about your mouth shot 144. And for y'all think that y'all can put that on our lap like we're responsible, that's wicked as all hell, man. Okay, because at the end of the day, I'm really trying to save my own ass. All right, you women, you just got to come along because women are going to be of the elect and you're going to be saved for childbearing because we're going to have to bring back these stupid niggas that get gunned down on this side, man. That's the only reason why you being brought through Isaiah 4:1. Not because you so goddamn righteous, but he was breaking down as well. And y'all brothers are, man, y'all typing out the precepts. I won't be able to get half of them though, brothers. My bad. But anyway, so long story short, so he was breaking down on how certain women, they got rejected. He said majority of them got rejected. And what I took from that vision was that was the men of the Lord rejecting these women because ultimately the world has rejected us. So Keisha, you know, the women that you brothers may have tried to shoot your shot at and they played you or they called you dusty or corny or lame or crazy for being a Hebrew Israelite. At the end of the day, them women gonna have to come before you and they gonna have to see you in power, man. Okay, Micah 7:10. Then she that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, what is the Lord like power? All right. So a lot of these women, even women that we've dealt with in our past, our fucking sisters, hell, some of your mothers, man, your grandmothers, they're still living. Your ex-girlfriends, all of them, they just gonna have to see us rose up in glory. Because the Lord said he was gonna get us fame in a land where they're put to shame. Now, I got a quick testimony, and this is how I know that this Isaiah 4:1 is gonna be on point. It's on point because I got a chick I've been dealing with for like, you know, for a couple of years. Real cool chick, real humble, submissive. You know, I'm like, but she's a Christian. And I'm like, that's a damn shame how a Christian that don't know a goddamn thing understands how to be a woman more than a lot of you women that call yourselves Israelites. But the difference is her father and her mother has been married. So they, you know, they did it the right way according to Babylon. And she grew up watching her mother submit to her father, and her two sisters are married too, even though their sisters are wicked, but they're still married, you know. And this is wild, man. All this for nothing. But anyway, so long story short, she works with a best friend, and her best friend is a woman of the world. I mean, technically they both for the world, but Her best friend is like one of those fast chicks, you know, that get all the dudes, and she's like the polar opposite. But I'm like, how the fuck are y'all friends? You know, sometimes opposite attracts. I don't know how, but they cool because they work together. And I remember her friends always talk shit about her, like, oh, you doing all that for him, and this, you doing this and this and this and that. And I'm like, tell that bitch to mind her own goddamn business. So my homegirl, she saw me the other day. She said, guess what? I said, what's up? She said, my homegirl want to get at you. I said, what? I said, you talking about such and such? She said, yeah, she want to get at you. I'm like, oh, really? She said, yeah, because she keeps saying shit out the side of her neck, how she can take you from me, all this other bullshit. And I was like, oh, wow, well, that's interesting. But see, they know. And because she was coming, because I did a pantry, I did like an outreach the other day, and sometimes I'll be hooking her up with shit. So I'm like, I hit up, I'm like, come and get you some stuff, you know, take to the crib. That way you have some food for the crib, whatever. And she was like, her homegirl was like, oh, let me go with you. And she said she had like this tight ass skirt on. And she like, why the fuck you want to come with me for? You know, I thought you ain't, you know, you ain't like priests like that. What's the, you know, that's what they, you know, that's my name. You know, one person called me priest. That's what I go by. You feel me? But anyway, so she like, yeah, let me go with you. She said, why? Why you want to go with me for all of a sudden? And she said she had this tight ass skimpy dress on. So these women know what's up, bro. Okay, these bitches are trying to get chose, but see, they still trying to be out of order at the end of the day, man. So don't let these women fool you, brothers, and make y'all seem like they don't know what it is. They know what the fuck is going on, man. Okay, they're just riding a gravy train until they can't ride it no more. But see, we got news for you. You in that spirit, you gonna get left behind, man. Because I got a thing. If you don't want me at my lowest point, then you can't have me at my highest point, bitch. Okay, we're not playing no fucking games. I'm not gonna be the last will, all because now your life is bad and in shambles. Now all of a sudden you want to choose me. I don't fucking operate like that. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be the creme de la creme initially. I don't give a damn if there's no evidence of it. You better believe that shit in your heart. Okay, it's called having faith, man. You know, like, we don't see the blessing right now, but hey, we serve Yahweh Shai because we believe in him. All right, we ain't got no goddamn preeminence right now. Half the brothers I know are suffering from body infirmities, man. Hell, it feel like my affliction coming back, you know, that I was dealing with 2 years ago, you know, which I think is a false alarm, but still, you know, you get the point. We go through all types of hell in this goddamn place, man, and we don't see the preeminence of it, but we believe through these scriptures, man. That's why the scriptures say they believed on thy word, you know, roughly paraphrasing, you know. Those that believe, like when Yahushua prayed for us in John the 15th chapter, it says those that believe thy word, man, because we believe what Yahushua said. Okay, we don't have no physical evidence of what he said, but we know what he said because we believe it. And prophecy is ultimately our measuring stick, man. Okay, Salakia, brothers, read a couple of these real quick. Jeremiah 51:7, Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, and prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say I'm strong. That's World War III, and that's formulating as we speak. Like, out of all the distraction that we're seeing with this whole Charlie you know who situation, you got a whole world war that's brewing up behind the scenes. Because remember, at the end of the day, when an RFID chip is implemented, basically World War III had been already started. Okay, what's happening is that the puzzle pieces are being shifted behind the scenes. So when that major prophecy come to pass, it's already, bingo, we are already here. You know, so it ain't gonna take no time for when World War III and the chips slide right in there. Hey, we damn near gonna be out of here, man, in mere seconds. And I'm not talking about literal seconds, but like Apostle Tahar say through the Spirit, he said we may have 1 month here once that chip is passed. Okay, and I speculate that they're holding up because the tensions of the nations have to break out even more. So it's all strategic, it's all calculated, man. Okay, it ain't late. Okay, even though it's tarrying, it's not late as we think, man. You know, it's gonna come when it's gonna come, as it tells us in Habakkuk. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And the way shit is going now, hey, it ain't looking too good for these devils, man. You know, it ain't looking too good for these stupid ass YNs. It ain't looking too good for you women. Damn sure you women, man. And from what I'm seeing, the men of the Lord, it's you know, it's on the up and up. You know, from what I see, the men of the Lord, we seem to be the ones that's gonna win, you know, in this thing. Let's see, is this really apartment? Ah, shit. But anyway, with that, brothers, I'm at my destination. I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakapadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone at Ruwell. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Lord's will, you will edify into the next lesson. Shalom. Fuck, man. This shit, wow. Shalom, brother. Shalom. A few sisters out there that watch, man.